Anyway, very nice to see everybody here this evening, and I'm Craig, Celeste's dad. I nearly got it wrong. And so for those of you who don't know, I'm Craig, and it's been a great honour and sometimes a bit of a challenge, actually, bringing up Celeste, because I had her from a little baby up to the age of 10 years old. And right from the beginning, life with Celeste was never going to be simple. When she told me she was getting married, my first words were to her, "Keep it simple, Celeste, keep it simple." "But you're talking to Celeste, Dad, you're talking to Celeste." And of course, everything today has been perfectly planned right down to every step of the way, as it were. We've been told exactly how to dress, exactly how to speak, exactly where to go, and it's worked out fantastically, hasn't it? It's been an absolutely beautiful event, you know. It's been planned like a military campaign, really, but the military never quite managed to get quite such a beautiful sort of show as this. And it's been a wonderful afternoon, Celeste. You've done it fantastically planned. But, you know, this is very far from the way I brought her up, you know. We never did things like this. We did tend to do things in a sort of a military sort of way in many ways at home. For example, you know, as a single parent, I would cook all the meals for the month in one go, put them all on paper plates, put them all into the fridge, and we'd have microwave meals. Or we had simple sort of life with a clapped out old Morris Marina car. And I used to say to Celeste, if you go to school, tell them it's a Porsche Marina. Don't tell them it's a Marina, because I think it's awful. But all the time, Celeste had it in her soul, as it were, to be a person that wants to get everything just right, just perfect. You know, she used to love her Barbie dolls, particularly, you know. You had the Barbie house. We even had her on the front cover of a magazine with her working on her Barbie house for an insurance company selling house insurance, believe it or not. So Celeste had it there, and she wanted to plan everything right down to the last little detail. And I think it's really showing itself tonight. It's been a very beautiful event, and Celeste is very beautiful too, both on the inside and the outside today. And it's been, you know, it's been a absolutely beautiful pageant in many ways. You've got this pageantry in your blood. You also always, reminding me of again when you were a child, Celeste, you always liked the very best, particularly when it came to food. I remember, you know, because my parents had a restaurant and Celeste would like to go in the restaurant. And apart from all the rubbish food that I was talking about that we used to cook at home, I remember we used to go out to the restaurant. We went to a posh restaurant, and Celeste was about 6 years old, and she says, "Waiter, I'd like soft-shelled crabs for starters, please. And then I'd like oysters, please, and I'd like I like a lobster." You know? And she named all the sauces she would like with it and everything, and it's really stayed with you. And I think it's great to have that sort of taste, really, in life, isn't it? To like the very, very best, like that last song we just had there, Simply the Best, you know. And I think in Mark too, she's met Simply the Best, really, as well. You know? I mean, we can forgive him for being a policeman, I think, can't we? We can forgive him of that. But Mark is a person that has really good values, I think, you know. He's a person that likes to, you know, you can trust Mark. He's got all the qualities of a policeman, but the good qualities of a policeman, you know. He's reliable, he's friendly, he's got a very sensitive nature, really, and kind. And I think all those qualities put together are going to bring together a very happy marriage, I feel. You know, those are the things you need, because I think family things are really important in life. It's something we've all forgotten about in this world, haven't we, nowadays? Family's gone bottom of the agenda everywhere. It's all about self, me. But I know with Mark that he's got a very good family spirit, you know. His own family and the two families coming together, as it were, is a marvellous foundation for a happy marriage, I think. And I think if you have those good family values, you know, if family values work well in the home, it changes the world around you. And if we had those good family values, I think the world at large would be a happier place, wouldn't it? So I think with Mark, it's a question of, Mark's come along now, and he's I think, complemented Celeste. They've become the yin and the yang, really, because they're very different characters in many respects. But I think that's what complements each other, doesn't it, really? It's your differences that it's a chalk and cheese that makes it work, as it were, But it's bound together, obviously, with a common love, because that's what makes it all work. And I know that both of them have fell for each other right from the very start, really, didn't you? Right from COVID, meeting in COVID, in an obscure wood or something, wasn't it, where you met out. And I think it's brought you together in a way that is become something that I think is going to last for a lifetime. And I feel that, and I really do feel that it's going to be something special this time round. You've both come from very hard, difficult pathways in many ways as well. And it just shows how, good can come out of difficulties. And it's often if we go through the adversity first that the good things come out of that. And I really feel that, you've got good, strong relationship here that's going to last a very long time. And you both support each other, and it's wonderful. So I am as you said, the most proud man here. I think this is a very, very happy day for everybody. And I wish you great happiness, happiness, happiness for the future. So, perhaps we can now raise our glasses, and I think you've raised them quite a few times already, to the bride and groom. I didn't read any of that speech at all in the end. I completely changed.
Okay, please give it up for the bride's father, Craig. Now, parents of the bride and bridegroom, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the most beautiful woman in white, Mrs. Celeste Godden.
Jeremy, you got my speech?
Oh, you need your speech.
I'm not going to be as good as my dad and remembering it all. I will be reading it. Thank you. Right, so don't worry. I've kept it very short, unlike the guest list.
Come close to the mic, Mary.
Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, hang on, is that better?
No. Yeah.
I'm a little bit shorter than everybody else. Anyway, it's been amazing to see everybody today, and I've got to say everybody's gone all out and you look absolutely fabulous, everybody. I know it's not traditional for the brides to speak, but you know me, I've always got to go with having my say. So we've pulled this wedding together, as you probably know, within 7 weeks, which explains the stress, the sleepless nights, and why Mark is now twitching. Every time I say I've got an idea. Of course, it's been full on, but it's also been in Celeste style, which was probably always going to be the way.
Speak closer to the mic.
Or you could come closer to us. No, because you're supposed to be here.
Anyway, here we are, and as Susie would say, it's turned out all right. Since I was little, I always dreamed of the fairy tale, the big white wedding, my prince, and a family full of love. Life has taught me many lessons along the way, and it's not to settle for less. And that's until I met Mark. He's my best friend, my soulmate, my knight in shining armour, and today he's made my fairy tale come true. I have to say, who would have thought that I would find my fairy tale on Tinder and standing here today and getting married? A massive shout out to Lucy for persuading me to go on those dating apps in the first place. And to Melody for giving me the shove toward Mark after the 15-minute date that we had when she said, "Was that it?" Little did I know it would turn out to be the best decision of my life. But of course, Mark had to pass the ultimate test before he had the official from me, and that was my friends. After a few dates, he was introduced to the girls on a 40th birthday lunch, and let's just say he nailed it. They absolutely adored him, and why wouldn't they? They were particularly doing backflips and shouting, "He's the one." And they were right. He most certainly is and always has been. My fairy tale is also completed with my 3 beautiful children, which are Harry, and Amy, who complete the family that I've always dreamed of. Sadly, Mark's mum couldn't be here with us today, but she was an incredible woman. She was selfless, loving, and devoted to her family. All those qualities live on in Mark, and marrying him today means that I have a piece of her too, which is very special. It's meant to be short, but it's quite long. I am on the next page. I'll get through it in a minute. Anyway, I know Mark's doing the thank yous and all the stories, but I couldn't not mention my bridesmaids. You've been absolutely amazing all the way through, helping, supporting, laughing, and propping me up when I've needed it. I couldn't have done it without you. I'd like to give a special shout out to Tracy, my jack of all trades, who's done everything from wedding planning, hair, making the cake. Honestly, that woman's got some bloody talent. And to my dear friend Susie, who's my absolute rock, my voice of reason and always keeps me sane. It's a bit debatable, but anyway. And to all my bridesmaids, you've all been honestly absolute the best in your own ways. I've got to give a nice little special mention also to Eva, the sweet flower girl, and Elliot, the charming young gent that we've had walk us down the aisle today. I think you'll all agree they're the cutest, but they also remind me very much of Mark and me. Except Eva actually listens and Elliot doesn't argue back. I think I also deserve a round of applause for myself too. Because without me being impulsive and a perfectionist and not doing anything by halves, this wedding was always going to be big, it was always going to be bold, and it was always going to be a bit chaotic. But hey, we're here, dressed on time, and it's a miracle that I'm actually here myself. Walking down the aisle today with my dad and my son, and my mum signing the register, are special moments that I will treasure forever. And also having our 3 children play a very special part will always be very special in our hearts and something that we will never forget. Today is about Mark and me, but it's also about 2 families coming together. Mark's family is wonderfully massive. Mine is a little bit smaller, but if you put the 2 together, you end up with a wedding list that needs a new postcode. So now that I've finished my short speech, let's all raise a glass to our family, our children, our friends, and most of all, to my incredible husband, Mark. He's the man that completes me, my forever, my chaos tamer, the most patient man in Britain, and for me too, because someone has to keep everything running. So cheers.
Give it up for your bride. Right. We now have the luckiest man on the guest list, Mr. Mark Godden.
Good evening, everyone. You made me cry then, it makes this really difficult to get up and follow. So, but yeah, it's lovely words, Celeste, thank you. So first of all, on behalf of myself and my new wife, it feels really good to say that. I want to thank you all for being here today. Seeing so many of our family and friends gather together in one place is truly overwhelming, and it really does mean the world to us, so thank you. To our parents, thank you for your love, your guidance and your endless support. You shaped us into the people we are today, and for that we are really grateful. Thank you. And Craig, I promise that I will do everything I can to take care of Celeste and make her as happy as she makes me. And to everyone who's travelled near or far to be with us today, we know it's no small effort, and we feel truly blessed to celebrate with each and every one of you. Thank you. To the bridal party, thank you for standing by our sides, for all your hard work and for making today not only possible but unforgettable. now to my bride. Standing here today, I thought I was doing all right. Looking at you, I feel like the luckiest man alive. You look absolutely breathtaking, but of course, you always do. From the moment we met, you've changed my world and brought love into my life in ways I did not think was possible. I promise to spend the rest of my life trying to make you as happy as you've made me. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you raise your glasses to love, laughter, happiness, and to my new wife. Thank you.
Please get up for your bridegroom. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the speech you've all been waiting for, and the speech Mark has been dreading. Honesty from his best man and son, Harry.
Remember, Harry, no lying.
Oh, we'll see, we'll see. Let me get to the right page, actually. Hang about.
No embarrassment today, son.
Right, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Harry, Mark's son. Before we get to embarrassing Dad, I'd like to say how happy I am that you're both married. Celeste, you look beautiful, and I couldn't be more excited to continue to have such an amazing stepmom in my life. You're so good for Dad as he is for you. I just hope I don't ruin it with these stories about him. I should also mention that I'm flattered that I get the only 10 minutes of the day that Celeste didn't plan. Obviously, as best man, I have the job to embarrass Dad as much as possible, with stories I've gathered from friends and family, and even ones I've experienced myself. During this process, I don't think Dad really thought it through making me his best man. I've learned so much about him and wish I could forget already. I tried to narrow it down to a few good stories, but I was just surprised about how many I couldn't include, whether they didn't fit or they were too gross to even share. I think it's best we start all the way back to Dad's childhood, when we first hear about his bestest friend. They were inseparable growing up, always had a seat at the table and loved by the family. They even had sleepovers all the time. I believe they're here today, so can we all give a big wave at Pulley, Dad's imaginary friend? Yeah, whatever you say, Dad. Most of his childhood was spent with his younger siblings, Kim and Ian, who, to say the least, used to terrorise him. From Kim eating the toes of his favourite teddy, Biffy Bean, to Ian stealing anything he could, sweets, money, literally anything. Dad and Ian shared a bedroom growing up, Oasis on all the time, playing on the Commodore 64 together, buying a big Kelly Brook poster for their door. All of this seems so lovely, but as you can tell, two brothers sharing things at a young age doesn't always go to plan. Nan would often come up and see Ian in a headlock under Dad's arm. Fast forward a couple years, and Dad gets a job at the spare paper boy at the Stone Square newsagents. He worked for his best mate, John. As Dad was a spare boy, he wasn't usually required to do any paper rounds. He was trusted with running the shop for a few hours at a time on his own. Through this, he became a notorious thief, nicking food and drink to order for his mates whenever they wanted, which is obviously ironic for his career choice. I think I should mention what kind of family Celeste is getting herself wrapped into. I would warn you that the Gordons party hard, but you're already used to that. Celeste's kind of night out ends in her being so drunk she's unable to speak, and often... So we all know that. And often only has the energy to grab whatever food is in the fridge and inhale it. But to give the Godden family some context, they're the type of family to, true story by the way, start a family and friends six-a-side football team and shortly get kicked out for fighting and being too aggressive. But seriously, Celeste, you need no warning. You're a perfect addition to the family and we all adore you. You're hilarious to be with and definitely know how to have a fun time. Dad is incredibly lucky to have such a wonderful partner for the rest of his life. Shame you have to put up with him though. Let's get on to how Dad met Celeste. They met during lockdown, only being able to text and FaceTime, and this lasted 3 months. When they finally got to meet up, Dad planned a nice walk where they could take Jaeger. Dad was early, as he always is, and when it came to meeting time, Celeste was nowhere to be seen. 45 minutes later, and Celeste arrives. This is Dad's first experience of Celeste's trouble with timings. Dad planned the route for the walk. He's a type to overplan when he's nervous. The date was going well despite his nerves. They were getting along just as they were on FaceTime and text. Until a very short while later, when Dad realised the route he planned was only 15 minutes long. Some first date that was. Despite the short date, it was very clear both were made for each other. They continued on this course, going on dates, meeting important family and friends, and going on plenty of trips away. They went to Ireland twice. Ironically, both for Aaron and Emma's wedding. The first time they showed up a whole month early, thanks to Celeste getting the date wrong. So naturally, they had no choice but to go back a second time for the actual wedding. And this is what I mean about Celeste's trouble with timing. So I think I'll change it up here. Through gathering the stories, there were some common themes. One of them being Dad having messy accidents. And most of them being recent. The first one would be Gran Canaria 95 on his first lad's holiday. Someone shit in the bidet in the shared hotel room, and everyone blamed Dad. There we go. Dad swore it wasn't him. Fast forward 12 months later in Tenerife 96, and Dad, whilst talking to his mate John, literally shits himself while talking to him in bed.
Where's the food?
So that solved the mystery of who shit in the bidet. Then we move on to more recent times. After going for drinks with Uncle Ben and Mark in heaven, Dad was worse for wear, stumbling drunk, falling into bushes. He was able to stay at his mum and dad's that night, so he made it home and got into the spare bed. He wakes up, still drunk in the middle of the night, and he's so used to having an ensuite with the house shared with Celeste, Dad got up, politely sat down on the end of the bed. Oh.
I shall not say leave it.
Too much. Cheers. Dad got up, politely sat at the end of the bed, and went for a sit-down wee.
You gotta go.
Piss in the bed in your late 40s is rough, but doing it in your own parents' house and having to go down and tell Mummy you've wet the bed must have been a low point. Then the most recent one, Nashville 2025 with Celeste, his dream trip she has surprised him with. One evening at the hotel, they're having a lovely dinner, and Dad suddenly feels the urge to go to the toilet. He excuses himself and says he'll go up to the room to go. Doubt enters his mind. Will I make it? Hold on, Mark, hold on. He gets into the lift, to get to the room, and it happens. Dad shits himself in the lift in Nashville.
That wasn't on Facebook.
So this is exactly what I mean when I say I don't know how Dad got so lucky with Celeste. She's so kind, caring and loving, all to a grown man who was to worry when he next shit himself.
Cream trousers on today.
Taking on a more serious note here, you guys are so perfect for each other. You both have shown to all of your family and friends that soulmates really do exist. It doesn't matter when you find them, you just know they're the one. Back to grilling Dad. This story took place on holiday with his friends Steve and Zoe. They find themselves watching a hypnotist act, and Dad gets picked up to go on stage. Dad is usually skeptical about all these sort of things, but with one click of the hypnotist's fingers, Dad was out cold. The hypnotist made sure that when he woke back up, he would act like the person next to him farted. Dad stayed polite and didn't say anything, but his face told a different story. After this little trick, they moved on to the final part. Dad got put back to sleep, and when he woke again, he was told that a lady in the crowd had stolen his male genitalia and had it in her handbag. Dad immediately rushed to the crowd, scouring through different places to find it, snatching handbags, coats, anywhere it could be possibly hidden. Now, the real irony here is that he was searching in tiny purses. You know, the ones that hold a lipstick.
Still not got it back.
You know, the ones that hold a lipstick and a few coins. Which obviously says more about Dad's genitalia than any of us need to know.
You allowing him to carry on?
Oh, we got more. Dad has many notorious tales of being away with friends, most of which end up with Dad sleeping outside of his hotel room. I'll name a few times. Bournemouth with Nunez and his police mates. In Nunez fashion, he gets lost. Dad stays out late after the hotel and waits for him. Nunez's phone dies. As the good friend he is, Dad still stays up. Unfortunately, Dad locks himself out of his hotel during this. By the time Nunez got back to the hotel, he found Mark curled up outside with nothing but his lime green boxers on, shivering in the cold. Another example of this happening is when he went to Amsterdam with friends. Smitzy remembers losing Dad during the craze of the evening. They all went back to the hotel to bed and assumed Dad was fine his own way. And you guessed it, Dad was found curled up right outside the hotel room. So close, Dad. Now enough on Dad for a bit. I'd like to say thank you to Celeste for everything you do for me and Amy, and also giving me a stepbrother who is hilarious and a best mate for sure. There he is. You are so amazing with everything you do. You're the hardest working person I know, but you somehow find a way to balance it with friends and family. With the planning you've done this year, Nashville, Dad's 50th, and this wedding, I really don't know how you do it. You're a superwoman. And I cannot be happier that Dad has you by his side always. And to Dad, I know I've said this a million times, but I'm so proud of you. I've looked up to you since I was a boy. You're the best example of how a man should be. You never fail to put a smile on any of our faces, these stories show. I cannot stress how many people have told me that you're the person they would go to if they're feeling down, but also the person they'll go to if they feel great. You'll never know how important you are to all of us, and I'm beyond grateful for you meeting Celeste. She brings out the best of you and puts you in your place when you need it, which is quite often. But I can tell you found your best mate, someone to do everything with, and is passionate about anything you are passionate about too. As you can probably tell, we're missing someone extremely important to all of us today. Our Nanny Carol. She wanted nothing more than to be here with you today, Dad and Celeste.
You go, mate.
Sorry.
You got it. You got it.
Although she's not here for us to see, she's right here living through each and every one of us. Imagine she's sitting up there in heaven with us, Shandy, happy she still got to see her son's wedding. Sorry, guys. So I'd like to give a special toast to Carol, who'd be so proud of you both. And finally, congratulations to you both. We all love you so much. And one more toast to Mr. and Mrs. Godden. Thank you so much.
A quite spectacular best man speech. Give it up for Harry.